Greetings to my unbelievable V family all over the planet. This is your most gorgeous, sexiest upline on the planet, the one and only Chief Pathman Senathirajah, with my new green jacket from Worn Dutch, which I'm falling in love with. Don't ask me why I bought it and I want to wear it. Alright guys, I just came back after spending 4 days in the greatest training platform ever, alright, called the Zone, where I was privileged to be in service with so many V partners, core in service, QI directors, to watch Dato Sri Vijay, our founder, upline, mentor, facilitate his training platform called the Zone, alright, which was limited to an exclusive 120 seats only, even though we had hundreds of people who applied, all got rejected. I'm sorry that you couldn't come to Zone, but those who came, I saw the magic of Dato Sri Vijay. Simply unbelievable. Now, I can't share with you too much of the learnings because you have to come to the Zone to benefit, alright? But it reminded me so much about this 21-year journey that I've had standing by his side, being in service to him, being his student, being his warrior. And I realized that this journey has just started. I realized that the past 21 years of QNet has been unbelievable. I promise you, the next 21 years is going to be even more unbelievable for all of us. And this Wednesday, I want to share, I think, my key learning from the Zone. And I spoke to Dato Sri about it. I spoke to the V partners about it. And this has to do not only with networking. So if you're watching this, you're 1 day old in the business, or you are 10 years old in the business, or you're not in the business, and you just wanted to watch a gorgeous Malaysian speak on video, alright, you will realize that our journey of life is very complicated. And throughout our journey of life, all of us look for answers. Alright, we seek for answers so that we can become better. And if you are aiming to max out, which I hope you do, if you are aiming to become a success story in QNet and the V, then I'm sure you are also looking for answers. And during this Zone, talking to the unbelievable AVPs, VCs, V partners, and the corporate warriors of Dato Sri Vijay, I realized one thing, that today, in our journey of life, in every situation, position, organization, whether you are upline, whether you are downline, whether you are father, whether you are mother, whether you are son, daughter, alright, or just a citizen of a country, you have a value that you bring to that organization. You have a value that you bring to that relationship. And I will call this the value proposition. That means what value you bring to whichever situation, whichever environment you belong to. Now I realize that my value proposition to you, alright, will grow, will decrease, will grow, will decrease, may vanish one day. I don't know. So in whatever relationship, whatever concept you belong to, whatever situation, whatever you're trying to build right now as upline, your organization, locally, internationally, challenging market, not challenging market, your ultimate goal is max out. And for you to achieve max out, you have a group of people who are going to get you there, which are your downlines, which are your uplines, which is your family members' support. Alright, support from me as your upline, as your chief, from our founders, the great ones, Dato Sri Vijay and Japaras Bismarck. Now, in all of these connections, you must bring value into that relationship. You must bring value into that position that you hold as an upline, as a downline. Now, the challenge we face is from the time you signed up until today, whether it's 1 day or 10 years, your value proposition that you bring into your organization, that you bring to your downlines, you bring to your uplines, alright, started very high. And you all know this. Alright, that all of you, even if you had one downline, you were just a magnificent upline. You shared information. You held the person's hand. You followed them for presentation. You helped them do closing. You were an inspiration. Alright, smallest challenge, you jump, you leap to help them overcome, resolve it. You were just a shining star. You were a beacon, right? Like a light, like the lighthouse where where ships cannot survive without the lighthouse. Because without the lighthouse, the ship will crash. Alright, and like Dato Sri Vijay is to me and to all of us, like a beacon of light. And then suddenly your value proposition will drop. That people get into a comfort zone. People get lazy. And the biggest morons on the planet are those who self-decide that their downlines don't need them anymore. That is stupidity to the highest level. If you think that way, please go to the highest building in your city, like now I'm in Bangkok, alright, and play the song, I Believe I Can Fly. Do you understand? Alright, you cannot self-decide that your downlines don't need you anymore. You cannot self-decide that your uplines don't need your value proposition. You cannot decide that your children don't need you anymore. Is that the journey of life requires us to fight to be relevant, to sharpen our skill set to be, important in the journey of other people's lives. So you want to reach max out, you must be relevant to your downlines. You must be relevant to the people who depend on you, who listen to you. And your relevance requires you to push yourself always out of your comfort zone. And it's not about being important. It's not about getting a bigger ego and saying, oh, I am important in your life, shut up and listen to me. No, it cannot be driven by ego. It must be driven by your need to add value to somebody's lives, to help them change their lives, to help them rise, to help them, inshallah, make money and max out one day. Right? And this requires you to evolve. That your value proposition, alright, 10 years ago to your downlines, today you cannot offer the same value proposition. Because 10 years ago you did presentation, you did every presentation, you did every closing, you did every training, like how Dato Sri did for me. But today Dato Sri doesn't do presentation for me. Dato Sri doesn't do closing or training for me. Alright, so he has evolved, but still his value proposition to me has actually increased over the past 20 years. Because he took it upon himself to change, alright, to be more effective in Pathman's life, to add more value to Pathman's life, to help Pathman rise and change and evolve to become who he is today. Now, how are you changing to consistently add value to your downlines, to add value to your uplines? Maybe your downlines today don't ask you to do presentation. Maybe your downlines don't ask you to come and do closing or do training, but they still need you. And you need to figure out on your own how you retain, maintain, increase the value proposition that you give them. Whether they ask for it is irrelevant. Alright? Because you are upline. You cannot wait for your downlines to ask. Then I ask you what you're doing, Chief. Nothing. I'm doing nothing, Chief. I'm waiting, alright, for my downlines to need me. I'm waiting for my downlines to beg for my support. I'm waiting for my downlines to show me some respect. Then only I add value to them. Stupid! Doesn't work that way. That a value proposition to your downlines must be constant, consistent, evolving and growing at the same time. So if you look even in your personal life, when your kids are young, they need you every minute. They hold on to your dress or your pants. They hold your hand. They cry when you leave the house. But as your kids grow up, they don't need you the same way when they were little. So the value that you added to their life when they're little cannot be the same today. Your 14-year-old daughter or son doesn't need to hold your hand. You may need to hold their hand when you cross the road. But what value are you adding to their lives today? How are you evolving to be relevant in their lives today? Right? To bring some advantage, information, inspiration to their life today at 14, 16, 17 years old. Alright? And the same applies in your journey to max out. It requires you constantly to evolve. It requires you constantly to grow. So I watched Dato Sri from 21 years ago until today. He has grown. He has changed so much. Alright? But the value he adds to my life has increased crazily. And every week when I make this Wednesday message to you, it's about my value proposition to you. That I hope what I said today, I hope what I said the past 3-4 years has added value to you to become a better networker, to become a max out king and queen. Now, are you doing the same to your downlines? Are you doing the same to your uplines? Alright? Are you hungry, alright, to be relevant? Are you hungry to stay relevant? Are you hungry enough to increase the value that you provide to everyone connected to you? And the only way that you can increase your value proposition to everyone around you is you have to grow. You have to evolve. That what you did 5 years ago, nobody needs you today to do that. You have duplicated that in your downlines. They are doing it better than you. My presentation sucks. Shh, don't tell anyone. Alright, all of your presentation, I bet you, is 200 times better than me. But you may not invite me today to come and do a presentation for you. But you will invite me maybe to come and inspire your downlines, to fly, to rise, right, to conquer the markets you are building. But that requires me to change. It requires me to grow. It requires me, right, to stay connected to a mentor like Dato Sri Vijay, so he can help me through my evolution to constantly making sure that I retain the value proposition I have to you and everyone around me. So if you are watching this video right now, whether you are 1 year in the business or 1 day in the business, if you think you are valuable today to your downlines, you may not be valuable by the next 3 months or the next 6 months. If you don't change, if you don't evolve, if you don't grow, if you don't work hard to increase the value that you can add to other people's lives, then eventually they will not need you, like your children. Alright, so you brought up your children until 18, and then you think, okay, I can add no value to my children anymore. That's total bullshit. Alright, my mother added value to me, alright, until she passed away. And I was 30 over years old. Alright, then my mother evolved, she changed, alright, she just retained and increased her value proposition to me every single day. That I miss her every moment until now. That I couldn't live without her. Alright, now you may think, oh, but Chief, I don't want my downlines to be dependent on me. No, they will never be dependent on you, because if you drop dead tomorrow, they are not going to quit the business. If you drop dead tomorrow, they are still going to max out. Nobody is ever dependent on you, because the master plan can take you away from them in 2 seconds and they will survive. Trust me, I've seen this for 30 years of my life. You understand? But the point is, you should not ever stop adding value to people's lives. Whether they are dependent on you is a different subject matter, and you have nothing to worry about. You must fight, you must grow, alright, to always add value in a different shape, alright, different size, different intensity to your organization. And that should never stop. Even when you are a super max out king or queen, your value proposition to your network must never, ever decrease. It must increase, intensify and grow. And in order to that to happen, you must keep growing, as Dato Sri Vijay taught us from day one. So my Wednesday message this week, alright, treat it as the most important message I've told you. Your value to everyone and everything around you is your responsibility. Your responsibility to maintain it, your responsibility to evolve, to grow and increase your value proposition. That is the only way you can ever become a max out king or queen. That's the only way you can ever help anyone become a max out king and queen. Are you with me? So this is your chief, praying hard that my value to you will never, ever decrease. And I promise you, I will do whatever it takes and remain hungry to remain valuable to your journey to max out. Love you guys.
Yeah.